All right. Hello, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me all right. As Isaac had said, my name's Tracy Paglia, CPA with Moss Adams and a partner, and I specialize in exempt organizations. And I'm thrilled to have you joining me today to talk about the Form 990. Before we get started, in your handout section of the GoToWebinar, you can see a copy of the slides that you can use to take notes on. I have provided you with the 2017 Form 990, the complete package. So this includes Form 990, EZ, PF, 990T, all the schedules. It doesn't include the instructions because not quite all of the instructions are out yet for 2017, but that PDF is a great resource because if you go to the IRS website, you have to download each of those individually. Here I put them all into one PDF and bookmarked them for you, so it's a terrific tool to keep. And I have these for years and years, and then I'll do a second book with all of the instructions in them. It's super helpful to have. And the last handout that you have available is a Form 990 Pitfalls, kind of a 3-page summary that I've put together over the years of common review notes I'll have for my preparers or common questions that I get from clients, and kind of some tips and tricks to reviewing your 990, making sure that it's complete. So wanted to point out those tools before we get started. You can download them in PDF fashion and have them handy for you. With that, we'll advance to the next slide here. There we go. Picture of me so you know who's talking. So our agenda for today, we've got quite a long session. We've got a 100-minute session, so we can go into some pretty significant detail. Please do ask questions as we go in the chat window. If I can, I'll answer them as I go. Otherwise, we will try and catch them at the end there. But if for some reason you have a question after the webcast, or I don't get to your question due to time, feel free to email me or call me. Call might be better. My email's a little impacted at the moment with tax reform, but definitely feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer questions. So we're going to be talking about the Form 990 overview and thresholds for filing which form in the 990 series. We're going to be talking about schedules A through O and R, some of them in more detail than others. We could spend hours on Schedule H, which is for hospitals, but it really isn't applicable to the majority of nonprofits. So we aren't going to spend a lot of time on all of the schedules, but we will delve into at least enough details so you know what's there. We're going to talk about common pitfalls and problems with the 990, things to watch for. I'm going to have a brief introduction of unrelated business income. This is the time when tax-exempt organizations are treated as taxable and they do calculate and pay income tax. And we're going to talk about tools. So I'm not going to be covering tax reform or changes that are upcoming to nonprofits. We will be seeing changes in the 990T, for example, for the 2018 form because of some of the changes. That's a totally different presentation. Today we're just talking about the basics, really designed for people who either are not very familiar with the 990, maybe have a little bit of understanding, or you've got, you're new to working in a nonprofit organization to understand their 990. So it's important to know which form to file because I know in our software, if we start down the wrong path and prepare a full 990, but we needed an EZ, we've wasted a bunch of time. So I always recommend that before you get started, you figure out which form you can file. The first one is there's a group of organizations that are not required to file at all. And those are certain religious organizations, government or political organizations, and this is the 990 form we're talking about. This is not 990T or payroll or other types of taxes. This is only a 990 series form. So certain religious, government, or political organizations and subordinate organizations that are included in a group exemption annual filing. And the idea here is if you have, say, a national organization and then they have local chapters, each of the local chapters can often be set up as separate legal entities. They have their own charter, but they all operate and are formed in the same way under the same charter. It's just kind of a cookie cutter approach to dealing with a national entity, but being locally involved. So the national organization can go to the IRS and request a group exemption and say, we want to be tax exempt in one application. In the second application, we want all of our local organizations who are organized under the same charter with the same year end, operate in the same way to also be exempt, rather than each individually having to go and file for exemption. So those organizations that are included under that group exemption can choose to altogether file one consolidated 990. Therefore, the separate subordinate organization would not have to file their own form. Lots of complication to that, but essentially that is how it works.